Could this ancient Argentine giant have truly survived the final million years before the catastrophic Cretaceous extinction event? How did a 12-meter titanosaur maintain its massive weight with unusually stubby limbs and a broad barrel belly? What evolutionary pressure forced this sauropod to develop embedded bony skin plates for active defense instead of relying on size? Did these massive reptiles actually gather seasonally to bury dozens of 5-inch wide eggs together in shallow communal pits? How could a creature weighing several tons excavate deep nesting chambers using only the heavy claws of its hind feet? What hidden biological connections linked the distant nesting grounds of Patagonia with the isolated fossil beds found in northern Argentina? Why did nature forge heavy dermal armor onto a massive herbivore facing the final days of a collapsing prehistoric era? Don't miss what comes next in this story. Watch to the very end.
Welcome to this channel, where I explore dinosaur histories grounded in real paleontological science. In Shields Forged in Fading Earth, we follow Saltasaurus across ancient Argentine floodplains. Monetization here has grown unpredictable lately, so this channel now relies entirely on direct viewer support. Becoming a Patreon sponsor ensures every contribution directly helps produce the next film, link below. Please like and subscribe to join our community and support every new prehistoric documentary. Now, let us step into the ancient past together.
Shields forged in fading earth. The earth has music for those who listen. George Santayana. Cretaceous Floodplain. The Lecho Formation sprawls across northwest Argentina in thick bands of red sandstone. 70 million years ago, this subtropical floodplain hosted a complex ecosystem just before the Cretaceous end. Here, the ancient soil records a world of shifting rivers and seasonal rains. Saltasaurus lived 70 to 66 million years ago in this very basin. It stood as one of the last true sauropods before the Cretaceous extinction. Weighing up to 6 tons, these 12-meter giants stripped low vegetation with specialized rod-shaped front teeth. A contemporary archosaur drifts quietly through the shallow margins of the river. A small synapsid scurries beneath the shade of a large, ancient cycad. The warm air hums with countless insects, sustaining a diverse food web across the vast arid plains. The local geology reveals a landscape shaped by severe seasonal extremes. Prolonged dry intervals thin the undergrowth, followed by violent monsoon pulses that flood the alluvial basin. This rhythmic climate dictates the distribution of flora across the very broad, open floodplain terrain. A lone theropod silhouette passes silently along the hazy horizon, keeping to the deep shade of the gallery forest. The giant herbivores continue their slow tread. Their massive bulk remains undisturbed by the smaller carnivore watching from the very distant tree line. Sediment builds steadily across the basin, burying the tracks of these ancient giants. The Lecho Formation preserves this final chapter of the Mesozoic, locking the shifting floodplain into solid stone. The great Cretaceous world quietly and slowly turns its final, deep geological page. This chapter reveals that the Lecho Formation preserves Argentina's final Cretaceous floodplain. We ask you to evaluate how seasonal droughts shaped herbivore migration patterns. Please like and subscribe to support our documentary research. The next chapter examines how their compact quadrupedal frame navigated uneven terrain.
Quadrupedal species. The massive quadrupedal body plan shifts weight across the Lecho Formation, 4 stout limbs bear the animal forward, moving with a deliberate rolling gait over the baked mud. This low center of gravity ensures stability across the uneven, arid floodplain terrain. Reaching 12 meters long and weighing roughly 6 metric tons, this particular species is remarkably compact for a sauropod. A short neck and stubby limbs support a remarkably wide, hippo-shaped belly, creating a distinctly low-slung silhouette against the sparse green cycads. Beside it, a much larger Antarctosaurus browses the distant tree line, highlighting the relatively diminutive stature of our subject. Yet even at this smaller size class, the sheer bulk of the wide torso dominates the immediate foreground, dwarfing the tall surrounding ferns. The stubby limbs and broad pelvic structure lower the center of gravity even further during locomotion. Each heavy footfall sinks slightly into the soft riverbank, demonstrating how this compact frame distributes immense mass efficiently while navigating the deep, muddy channels. Near the massive feet, a tiny Grobotherium scurries through the dry grass, emphasizing the gigantic scale of the herbivore. The small mammal pauses briefly before darting away, a fleeting reminder of the vast size disparity within this shared ancient subtropical habitat. Pausing at a low thicket, the animal swings its broad, barrel-shaped gut closer to the ground. It strips the lower foliage with a simple downward motion of the head, perfectly utilizing its compact, heavily built morphology to exploit resources unavailable to taller rivals. Why did this sauropod evolve such a compact, heavily armored body? We analyzed how its lowered center of gravity stabilized movement across unstable floodplains. Subscribe and like our channel to fund continued paleontological research. The next chapter reveals how these bony plates actively repel massive predators.
Predator combat. 2 rival Saltasaurus bulls lock shoulders beside a dry wash. Their 12-meter bodies collide with immense and heavy physical force. As the first known sauropod with osteoderms, bony plates in their skin provide active defense, far beyond their sheer overall body mass. A swift Austroraptor lunges from the ferns. It targets the exposed flank of a grazing juvenile. The massive adult pivots, swinging its 7-ton frame to deliver a crushing tail strike that breaks the predator's rhythm and forces the agile hunter to retreat. An Erodoton dives toward the herd's edge. The defender rears up to face the threat. Its spongy tail vertebrae feature air-filled holes that reduce weight, allowing a rapid upward whip that drives the giant aerial threat safely away from the herd. Another territorial combat begins as a second rival shoulder barges the victor. Their short necks and stubby limbs lower their center of gravity. This provides immense stability during the pushing match until the challenger finally yields ground and limps back into the cycads. A massive Carnotaurus launches a direct attack on the feeding group. The herbivores pause their stripping of leaves with rod-shaped teeth. They form a tight circle to protect their barrel-shaped guts used for fermenting food, until the predator abandons the open pursuit. Lurking in the Lecho Formation shallows, a Colhuapasuchus lunges at a waiting adult. The sauropod twists away to avoid the snap. Its large oval plates possess denser bone tissue that deflects the jaws, forcing the amphibious rival to retreat into deep, muddy water. While previous segments mapped their anatomy and environment, this chapter documents active predator defense. we discovered how bony armor and coordinated tail strikes ensured herd survival. Like and subscribe to follow our ongoing investigation. The next chapter reveals how these defensive groups transition into synchronized communal nesting cycles.
Nesting brood. Mature adults congregate at designated soft sediment sites near the riverbanks, driven by seasonal reproductive cycles. Brief pair bonds form as the vast herd settles. Heavy hind limbs begin excavating shallow depressions in the warm earth to prepare for laying. Each female deposits a clutch of 25 round eggs, measuring 5 inches wide, into the communal pit. She then uses her back feet to carefully bury the clutch. This shared nesting ground maximizes thermal retention for the developing young brood. The buried eggs incubate in the sun-baked soil while the herd grazes nearby. A small synapsid, like Grobotherium, scurries beneath the ferns, ignoring the massive guardians. The adults remain vigilant, their social coordination ensuring no threat approaches the vulnerable nesting site. Rapid embryonic development ensures the hatchlings emerge fully capable of independent foraging. There is no prolonged parental care, so the tiny juveniles must immediately integrate into the protective group formations. They quickly learn to navigate the complex social dynamics of the herd. The young broods remain closely associated with adult guardians during their initial growth phases. High above, an aerotitan drifts on thermal currents, casting a fleeting shadow over the moving group. The herd shifts together, benefiting from shared vigilance and coordinated grazing across the plain. Soft contact calls pass between parent and juvenile as the colony moves. The watchful adults shepherd the young toward fresh feeding grounds. The whole group drifts steadily across the floodplain, parents and juveniles calling to one another in a continuous, reassuring chorus. The next chapter traces how this thriving herd vanished as ancient droughts intensified. Our study of their nesting grounds now leads to their final fossilized remains. Support our documentary work by liking and subscribing to our channel. We will examine how recovered bone beds prove their survival relied on armored plating.
Fossil lineage. A solitary, weathered skeleton rests beside a dry Lecho Formation channel today. This last survivor perished as the subtropical floodplain collapsed, its massive frame succumbing to shifting climates. Scavengers now strip the remaining carrion from the exposed, bleached ribs. As the flesh decays, the great lineage of South American titanosaurs reaches its terminal chapter. An Austroraptor picks at the fallen carcass, but the sheer density of the dermal ossicles resists its jaws. The armored giant has finally met its end. Sediment slowly buries the scattered remains, locking the final generations into the deep geological record. Over millions of years, the buried bones undergo mineralization, becoming perfectly preserved specimens. The living herd vanishes, but its physical architecture endures within the earth. Modern excavations reveal a massive bone bed, confirming these animals died together during severe ancient droughts. The field of paleontology carefully extracts the heavy, armored vertebrae from the red sandstone. This concentrated graveyard provides undeniable proof of their final struggle. Crucially, the Salta fossils anchor this specific species locally. However, titanosaur nesting sites in distant Patagonia confirm shared reproductive patterns across South America. This vital geographic link proves a widespread lineage once dominated the entire continent before its final collapse. Ultimately, these recovered remains rewrite our understanding of giant herbivores. They prove these animals relied on complex dermal shields rather than sheer body size alone. The fossil record stands as a permanent testament to their resilience, etched forever in stone. Our journey through the Lecho Formation concludes as we trace this armored giant's final geological legacy. These recovered fossils fundamentally reshape our understanding of prehistoric survival across South America. Please like and subscribe to sustain our documentary research. Browse our complete archive to investigate how other species navigated ancient ecosystems.
Our Shields Forged in Fading Earth journey reveals how Saltasaurus survived ancient floodplain threats. Your continued viewership deeply inspires my work, so please subscribe and share your thoughts below. New dinosaur documentaries land on Patreon a full week before the public release, link below. Sincere gratitude flows to my loyal sponsors and channel members who fund every research hour. I am Jonny Dony, and I truly value your dedication to paleontological storytelling. In just a few seconds, 2 equally compelling dinosaur documentaries will appear on screen. Continue exploring these ancient ecosystems and discover another remarkable creature today.